Yeah, but the drama continues. The Eagles have made some additions to that receiver room. They brought in Hollywood Brown, Elijah Moore. Last week, they traded a couple of picks to the Packers for Dontayvion Wicks, who will join, obviously, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So, Schefter, everybody's been asking this. Is there anything to read into this here with these wideout additions as it concerns A.J. Brown?
And I think it's fair to wonder every time the Eagles add another wide receiver if they're just filling out that draft room in the event that they do have to move on from A.J. Brown. I think that obviously the Eagles still are open to dealing A.J. Brown. We'll see ultimately if they're able to get a deal done. Most people obviously know that the New England Patriots would be the team to watch here. I don't think we're going to see anything before the draft. I think this is a conversation and a topic that will wait until June 1st, and we'll see how it plays out. But again, every time Philadelphia adds another receiver, Hollywood Brown, Elijah Moore, and now last week trading for Dontayvion Wicks from the Green Bay Packers and extending his contract by 1 year, it's fair to wonder if we've seen the last of A.J. Brown in Philadelphia.
The other thing that has caught my attention this offseason, Schefter, is that every chance the Eagles have had to shut down the possibility of trading A.J. Brown, they haven't gotten there. They have not fully gotten there. It's been a different tone and tenor than we have seen from Howie Roseman and other players in the past. They have stopped short of saying, no, he will be a Philadelphia Eagle next year. And you mentioned the New England Patriots as a team to keep an eye on. Mike Vrabel did the sort of the reciprocal thing at the owners' meeting. He did not close the door on acquiring a player like A.J. Brown. I think pick 23 and the subsequent selections the Eagles make throughout the upcoming draft will definitely foretell something of a story here. Now, it's worth noting that it doesn't have to be pick number 23 that would make me feel like A.J. Brown is no longer going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. But it is the deepest position in the entire draft, Chef. The wide receivers. I've got 42 guys with a draftable grade this year that play wide receiver alone. So Philly could easily find players on day 2 that could help them potentially offset the eventual departure of A.J. Brown.
And Phil, how many times have we seen a player whose future is in question? His future is raised to an opposing head coach, and the opposing head coach says, yeah, we can't talk about him under contract. And Mike Vrabel went out of his way to praise A.J. Brown, their relationship, talk about what a great player he was. It almost was as if everybody is waiting for those two sides to get together at some point. He didn't deny it at all. He was quick to respect and praise A.J. Brown. I think a lot of people expect that those conversations will be continued next month.
Yeah, they have the 23rd pick in the first round, 8 picks overall, and never a dull moment with Howie, right? Yeah. Okay, coming up, meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers, because we just talked about Dontayvion Wicks. Obviously, he wasn't the only receiver that the Packers lost this offseason because the aforementioned Patriots signed their leading receiver, Romeo Doubs. So that leaves these guys, Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, the only wideouts with at least 200 receiving yards last season. So, Mina, kind of begs the question, is there enough proven production in that wide receiver room to feel confident about that group right now?
If you can promise me that there's health, then yes. Christian Watson, when he is healthy, I really think is a true, maybe number one in some ways, but an explosive playmaker, downfield threat, such a good pairing with Jordan Love's skill set. Reed is your more versatile yards after catch guy. I do think that Matthew Golden, while he had an up and down season, it's important that he had his best game of the year in the playoffs and fits the group nicely. And I'm going to add another player. He's not a receiver, but Tucker Kraft, the tight end, coming back from injury. There were moments where he was the focal point of the offense. But as I said at the beginning, he's coming back from injury. Christian Watson has also battled injury. So for me, my questions about the Packers receiving group are less about talent and more about health. Healthy, I feel good about them, but of course that is a question mark.
I mean, no team has been more willing to take a leap of faith or show a leap of faith on a player or a position group than the Packers, excuse me. I mean, we've seen this most notably with Brett Favre and then Aaron Rodgers and then Jordan Love. Like, this team has conviction on its players. And you think back to some of the seeds of where we're at right now, that 2023 draft class, where they double dip at tight end with Tucker Kraft and actually prior to him, Luke Musgrave. Yeah. There's a lot of pedigree on this roster, and the pick last year at the time, yes, it was exciting. And I thought Matthew Golden, I can tell you based off how I drafted in fantasy football, was going to have a pretty special rookie season for the Packers in 2025. And I think the Packers probably had more hopes for him than 0 touchdowns during the regular season. But I think the other acknowledgement from the Packers is that the draft is not about just today. And trust me, I get it. It's exciting for us to find the perfect marriage between player and team need and team. Sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it is about realizing that a year from now, you might be paper thin at wide receiver or tight end or offensive line or pass rush or wherever it may be. So Green Bay's prior drafts are going to perhaps be the focal point of this offseason amongst all of the departures that we have already seen.
And they certainly could use some help at the wide receiver position for depth, if nothing else. But this is a roster that's got a few different needs. I think the number one need on this roster might just be cornerback. They need some help there as well. And somehow, some way, they've got to figure out a way when they don't have a first-round draft pick, because they traded that for Micah Parsons, to come out of this draft with some help at cornerback, some help at wide receiver. But the good thing is the Packers believe that there's some value in the later rounds in this draft, and they certainly plan on finding some of it there.
Yeah, as Mina mentioned, Golden, it took a while, but against the Bears, finally in the wild card round, he had 84 yards receiving on 4 passes and finally got that first NFL touchdown.
It's got to feel good.
Hopefully a sign of good things to come. So back to Field Yates, his top quarterbacks in this year's draft, and no surprise, he has Fernando at number 1, followed by Ty Simpson. And then Field has Carson Beck at number 3, Garrett Nussmeier at 4, and North Dakota State's Cole Payton at 5. So Mendoza's got the LinkedIn going. Take us through your top quarterbacks. What's the skill they should be putting on their resumes here?
Yeah, Ty Simpson O'Hare is big on TikTok. He has good in-pocket creativity. Ty is a good athlete for the quarterback position. I like his ability to make something out of nothing when under duress. Alabama's offensive line this past season was not up to the usual standard for Alabama. Ty does a good job of manipulating defenders down the field with his shoulders, but does a good job also just navigating the pocket to keep defensive backs on their heel and get away for some edge rushers. You see Alabama use him on the move quite a bit as well. A testament to that overall mobility that he brings to the table. Just 15 starts, but good mobility in those 15. Carson Beck, it's football intelligence. You can certainly point to the experience. He started 43 games during his 6 seasons of college football. Played in high-leverage moments, played in different systems at big schools, but his football intelligence has been something that when you talk to people around the NFL that have spent time with Carson during the pre-draft process, they say this guy is sharp as a tack on the grease board when he's drawing up plays. Processing so important to quarterback play in the NFL. Garrett Nussmeier had a disappointing final season at LSU. It's his ability to throw with anticipation. You almost have to go back to the 2024 tape only when you're making the case for Nuss. He played with a better supporting cast, better offensive line with the likes of Will Campbell protecting him, more time and space to throw. This is a guy who's just an average athlete at best for the quarterback position, but he can certainly throw the football down the field with touch, accuracy, and anticipation. You give him time, you've got something to work with there. And finally, the wild card of this year's quarterback class is Cole Payton from North Dakota State, a 1-year starter, played behind Cam Miller at North Dakota State. Prior to that, he's a lefty. He's got this big, long, wind-up delivery. He's got good arm strength, though, and he is just an unbelievable runner. You see it right there. He actually took a lot of snaps prior to this past year as a Wildcat quarterback and also as a running back. Teams are going to see something of a left-handed Taysom Hill in Cole Payton, which is why there are people that believe he could go as soon as early in round 4 of the upcoming NFL draft.
Yeah, average rushing speed of 21.2 miles an hour, according to Teamworks data, so 3rd fastest among all the D1 quarterbacks. But obviously the guy we've been talking about the most is Ty Simpson. So, Adam, what are you hearing about a possible landing spot for him?
Hannah, that's one of the great intrigues of the first round of the draft next week. And the second night, we'll see whether or not Ty Simpson goes in round 1. He's going to be in attendance in Pittsburgh, one of 16 prospects who will be attending the draft in Pittsburgh. And I think the prevailing wisdom around the league is he could go there in the back half of this first round and surely be possible for a team to trade up and get him. If not, you're looking at the New York Jets, who hold pick number 33 on day 2, the first pick in the second round, and the Arizona Cardinals, who hold pick 34, the second pick in the second round, looking right at the possibility of drafting Ty Simpson. Again, will he sneak into the first round remains up in the air. That could be decided by whether a team trades up into the first round to get him, sits there. If you remember last year, the Giants traded up to number 25 to go get Jackson Dart. We'll see if that repeats itself this year with Ty Simpson, but that seems to be the general area where people feel like he has a chance to go next week.
And when Simpson's off the board, Mina, let's talk about LSU's Garrett Nussmeier. And I'm just wondering, what jumps out to you that makes you think that in the right situation he could flourish?
Yeah, my journey watching Nussmeier really echoed what Field described there. Started in 2025, didn't see it, went back to 2024, and I saw a lot of the traits that I think will make a team roll the dice on him. Reminded me a little bit of Baker Mayfield at times. You know, he has a live arm. He's really good throwing over the middle of the field. He was throwing with anticipation that year. I liked a lot of his throwing ability on the move as well. He is very undersized, similar to Simpson, and I do think that causes some concern or definitely limits his ceiling in the NFL to some degree. But I feel that he put enough on tape in 2024, before his injuries, that some team in the mid-round should be willing to take a risk.
Yeah, and so much has to do with getting into the right situation. Yes. All right. So